into MVP. So obviously, Jokic coming off another MVP after going back to back, and then watching Joel Embiid win one for a while. And it's the same candidates. I don't know about you, but it was for me. It was the same candidates. It's Luka, it's Giannis, it's Joel Embiid, right? And all three of them were in the contention last season. SGA made an appearance, but those guys are the regulars here. Now I'm hedging my bet. I feel like if I keep doing it, I'll eventually be right. But Luka, every year that Jokic wins it, it becomes harder for him to win it again, right? I think LeBron kind of demonstrated that in the mid 2010s, where he was definitively like really really good, but it just gets harder and harder to keep giving it to the same guy, and you want to create a narrative after something else. That's no disrespect to SGA, but SGA leading the OKC team to the number one seed definitely helped his MVP bid last season. And you could make a case and say maybe he did deserve it over Jokic, but I think for Luka, coming off the finals redemption, if he has a statistically better season than what he normally averages, that's enough, I think, to really put him over the edge. And especially if they're in finals contention again by the end of the season.
What if the Mavs are floating around 500 though? Would that let's say they get to 45 wins, yeah. Would that still keep him in conversation, or he has to hit the 50 threshold?
No, I don't think the win count matters. I think because sometimes that's seeding based. Like let's say the number one seed in the West was so competitive that they're only the 48 seed. 48 wins, and that's the first seed equivalent. I just think, the ranking is going to be important for him. And he was right there last season too.
I guess I think statistically, and we're straight already into we need that stats guy. Please apply by emailing us or dropping a comment. But because I think it's a real abnormality that an MVP. I think the last MVP that won that didn't get to 50 wins was Westbrook, perhaps. And I think he was
Mhm.
okay. So he only got to 49 wins, and he obviously won MVP. So winning is important, which is probably why I did not go with Luka, because there's probably some question marks that they may not get to 50. They could, but they might not. And do they care? Maybe not. But I am actually going for a first time winner here. Same to sort of similar vein that you sort of said that maybe there's a little bit of voter fatigue. Jokic already has a whole half a cabinet full sort of thing situation there. Giannis has a few. Embiid has his one, and now he's got PG, which will probably hurt him. Yeah, having PG
Yes.
would probably hurt him, just like Tatum gets hurt by having Jaylen Brown in that sort of situation. So I think I'm going to go with SGA, man. I think the Thunder here by far should exceed the 50 win category. I said they probably win up to 65, maybe I think last week or something along those sort of lines there. And if they do sort of do what I sort of spoke about last week, if they almost like lap the field there in the West, okay, and SJ is a key leader in that locker room from all aspects. Look, I think he could be in line really to grab his first MVP.
I think he was my second consideration. Not to say that Giannis and Jokic can't have better seasons individually. I just think that voter fatigue it's a real thing, right? Otherwise, the MVP would be a little bit touted in history because it would be, Jordan pretty much dominating the '90s. It's kind of hard to imagine, like, when you tell people, oh, Karl Malone and Charles Barkley were MVPs over Jordan. It's unfathomable, really,
Mm.
with how history looks at it. But it's the power of a narrative, and I think Jokic's time in Denver, in terms of being that dominant force, we kind of know what we're going to get out of Denver, and it's just, yeah, it's kind of hard to keep giving it to him. But let's not linger on the MVP.